Welcome to the Laptop Lifestyle Dad Show. I'm your host, Jeff Ross, the caffeinated kangaroo from Down Under, here to help you navigate the wild world of social selling and AI mastery. Whether you're a frustrated affiliate marketer, an inspiring coach, or a seasoned network marketing pro, you're in the right place. And each week we'll be deep diving with key experts from the online business world, sharing their tips and tricks and stories to help you elevate your game. Plus, I'll be serving up some quick coaching episodes packed with actionable insights to keep you ahead of the curve. So grab your favorite cuppa, sit back, and let's hop into another episode. Welcome to the journey of mastering the art of social selling and AI while balancing life as a laptop lifestyle legend. Let's get started and enjoy the show. G'day, Maleah. It's great to connect with you here on this podcast. So I put this podcast together for social selling and AI experts in the online marketing game, as I thought there was a gap in the marketplace, especially here in Australia. There's not enough resources out there at the moment to be able to share with our communities, how to navigate this world, this fast-paced, evolving world that's happening in the social selling and AI game. So I'd just love to dive in and unpack your story. I love to hear what people's hero's journey story is. So, what got you where you are today and just share with our listeners your story.
Okay. Well, I am Maleah Bliss, for those that don't know me. I guess for my story, I guess everyone's story starts in childhood, but mine definitely starts in my childhood. I'm autistic. I have ADHD. I had a lot of bullies growing up.
Yep.
A lot of bullies growing up. And I'll be honest, I didn't know how to talk to people I talked just fine, but I didn't know how to make people want to listen to me. So I spent a lot of my youth alone. I spent a lot of my youth, in seventh grade, I literally had 6 girls that I had been friends with in the 6 months that I had been at that school, suddenly stand up from our lunch table, grab their lunches, run over to the trash can, throw it away, and literally run away from me. It was an absolutely devastating moment for me, but that's where I came from. I came from a space where children literally physically ran away from me.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to connect with people because I didn't know how to do it. And the people that I could connect with, most of them were adults and older than me. And it was a long journey. I will say I probably spent 3/4 of my life feeling like people didn't want me and didn't like me. And I started really diving into personal development. I started reading personal development books when I was like 12. I read How to Win Friends and Influence People for the first time when I was 12.
Great book.
And I disagreed with like 90% of it. But in my mid 30s, about 10 years ago now, I really started diving in and really unpacking my trauma, unpacking the ways that I felt about myself and healing those things. And as I healed those things and I got to this place that I love me, everyone loves me. Like I walk into rooms, and I'm really not kidding about this. I have walked into a room one time. It was for a speak up class that I go to. I hadn't been in a while because it was summer and a whole bunch of things were happening. And I walked in and the entire room erupted in because they were so excited that I was there because they hadn't seen me in a while. Like I've gone from children literally ran away from me to people cheer when I walk in the room. All of that was because of how I feel about myself. None of it had anything to do with the way that people, it was how I showed up, not how people were showing up for me. I affected that because that is the only thing that has changed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my broad story of going from a very rejected child to a very accepted adult. But that plays into social selling and all of those things because I now run a networker group. It's called Networker Mastermind. I help people connect. I do a ton of sales because that's what I do. And so much of my journey came down to how I feel about myself.
Mm.
And and because how I feel about myself is how I show up in the world. And then that's how other people respond and react to me.
Yeah, love.
And so when it comes to social selling, when it comes to networking, when it comes to marketing, it really matters how you show up
Mm.
versus how, like, your expectations of how others are going to show up. Don't worry about those things. Worry about how you show up, and everything else will fall into place.
That's a
So,
valuable lesson right there. Thank you very much for sharing that story. And it was the true hero story, right? Every hero has a pain that they build out of. And thank you. I relate to your story because I was severely bullied as a kid at school too. I was hospitalized 3 times with, bullies basically, getting in fights. And yeah,
oh, wow.
it was a
I
mess.
was never physically bullied. I was bullied in the very more feminine way,
Yeah,
which is complete ostracization.
yeah. It still hurts though, right? Because you feel
Both
rejected
hurt.
in any way.
Yes.
But out of that, like, I don't know about you, like, I wouldn't wish that experience on my worst enemy, but I am
Never.
grateful for that experience now later on in my life because it's helped me to upskill and up level in that area of communication and relationship building. And I think it's those of us who have to go through the furnace, go through the fire, come out of it stronger, right?
I will say what you have a choice, I think, in uh, how you choose to respond to it. It can make you bitter and angry, or it can make you compassionate and kind. And I think you have a big choice there. And I think a lot of people don't take the time to recognize that they have a choice. But for me, it's made me just love people. And I've always loved people. I came that way, but I learned how to show it more effectively so that others can feel it.
Love that.
And if you go out and love people, you'll change their lives. If you truly love another person, you will change their life. And I think that, for anyone out there who is struggling with self-worth or and self-loathing and just all of those feelings, turn towards compassion. Be compassionate towards yourself, and especially towards you, like little you, like the child that still lives inside of you. Go and be compassionate,
Yeah.
and beautiful things will come from it.
Yes, agreed. Been there on that journey myself. I had to really come to love myself first, and
Yeah.
yeah, you can either go either way with this. You can lean into it, or as you say, you can get bitter about it. But by learning these skills on how to love ourselves and really do a deep dive into personal development and that growth that comes with that,
Mm-hmm.
we're able to now to transfer that into the world. And this is such a beautiful space in the social selling game to be able
Yeah.
to do that, right? Because people are
Mm-hmm.
attracted to people who are passionate, who are positive, who are, just give off the light of the world, right? Versus those people who repel because they're just, negative
Yeah.
sort of always like the darkness of it all. So it's polar opposites.
And you have control
Yeah.
over how you
So
show up.
powerful.
You can show up with that love and that light and that glow that you choose to go out and share and spread amongst the people that you're networking with, that you're friends with, that your children, like, you get to be the glow, or you can be the energy suck, and
I
you
love that.
get to choose.
There's
You
a
get to choose.
there's a Facebook quotable for you. You get to be the glow or you get to be the energy suck. I love that. It's so present because that's what we're doing, right? We're selling ourselves first in this social selling game. And it's attraction marketing 101, right? You've got to be attractive to help people come to you.
Yes.
So it is a skill. Doesn't matter where you start from. You can learn it and you can learn how to master it.
You can be an autistic child that did not know how,
Yeah.
to being someone who is genuinely good at making people feel wanted, accepted, and loved, which pulls people towards you.
I'm just sort of really present right now because my 10-year-old son is just starting to go through. He's in year 5. He's just starting to experience some of this bullying and ostracization. And I'm just reflecting now. It's like, what would I like to have done? Who would have spoken to my life if I was 10 years old and, helped me to learn and master these skills, earlier on versus when I'm 40 type sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things I talk to my kids about I tell them that they have to be the best communicator in the room.
Yeah.
Because if you can be the best communicator in the room, you can get everything you ever wanted. And so that entails like being solid in yourself, not worrying about what other people think. And we always tell kids like, oh, they're just mean, ignore them. But the truth is that that's not going to make it better. What we need to do for our kids is like, it's like, this is about you. This is about how you feel about yourself, not about how they feel about themselves. Because how they feel about themselves is what they're projecting onto you. Like they're bullying you because of how they feel about themselves inside of themselves. You are accepting what they're giving you because of how you feel about yourself inside of yourself. And so if you want to be like, what? I mean, I use the example, if someone came up to me and were like, hey, Paul, how are you? I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Because I'm very clearly not Paul.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I know what my name is. And so I would never like be like, hi, I'm fine. What's up? Like, I would just be like, I think you're thinking of somebody else. But when someone comes up to me and is like, you're stupid, or, to a child, and they believe that they're stupid, they accept it. But if they know that they're smart, they're like, no, I'm not. Go away. And so it really, like the conversations that I think we need to be having with our kids and the conversations I have with my children are really about, how do you feel about you? Do you believe this about yourself? Let's work on that, because like if you think that you're stupid, like that's going to show up in your world. So let's help you shift that so that you can see yourself as smart. So you can see yourself as wanted, as lovable, as kind, as needed, as all of these things that we tell ourselves that we aren't. And that's the way you change things.
Self-worth is such a powerful thing, isn't it? It's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
And I love that. Thank you very much for that. That's very helpful for parents as well. And I'm sure for all our listeners, most of us being parents. I'm just reflecting now, like I've got a couple other questions, but just in the vein of this conversation, most of us grow up and we're still little kids. We haven't necessarily...
We get stuck at ages. The trauma sticks with us, and we're 5 instead of 43.
That's right. A lot of people here in our listeners that, myself included through this journey, is we come into this world of online marketing, home-based business, whatever that looks like, because we're attracted to the opportunity. We're attracted to the products. And then most people go in and go, hang on, now I need to learn how to do this thing called business. Now I need to learn how to do this thing, marketing, social selling, the whole lot of it all.
Talking to people. Sharing something that I think is cool, but what if they don't like it? What if they reject me? What if they tell me that I'm a horrible person for trying to sell something to them? We are so worried about everybody else's feelings that we don't know how to navigate them.
So I suppose that's my question, for our listeners, because you seem to be like an expert in this arena. Just from our conversations that I've had with you previously, and I'm just still getting to know you as well. So, thank you for this opportunity to do this interview. So
absolutely, thank you for having me.
So what are your top sort of 2 to 3 tips that, myself and our listeners could go through to help us to really identify our self-worth? Because that in turn will come out into our social selling arena. And when we get this core inner stuff right, everything else flows out of that. So what would you say would be the 2 to 3 key things that we need to work on, and how and why?
So some of this stuff is going to sound super woo-woo, but you guys are going to have to deal with that. Energetics matter. Energetics are real. And whether you believe in them or not, that's your choice. But the things that really changed for me, I started meditating every day, and my meditating doesn't look like sitting quietly and making my mind still. That's not what my meditating looks like at all.
I've never been able to do that, to be honest.
I actually can. I've done enough meditating at this point that I can go inside of myself and just stop. I have a habits app that I keep things, and I'm like, I could pull it up and tell you right now. I don't know if it'll freeze my video, but like I will tell you the day that the days in a row now that I have meditated. I have meditated, let's see, come on, 1,879 days in a row.
There you go. That's mastery right there.
I don't know if it's mastery. I just know that it is something that I committed to myself, and I learned how to track it.
Yeah.
And because I learned how to track it, I was able to keep the commitment. And I spend time with myself every day, and I ask myself what I need. I ask myself how I'm feeling. If I'm facing something that's a struggle, I sit down with myself and I'm like, okay, why don't I feel good enough? Like, what's this thing? And I then listen for the answer. I let myself answer. I ask the question. I'm like, well, why don't we feel good enough? Like, what's going on? Or like, there's a problem with my friend and I don't know what to do about it. And so then I sit, it's like, well, I feel like they're doing this and this and this and this and this. And I go through it and I sit there and it's like, well, do I know that that's what's happening? Or is that just like my interpretation of what's happening? What else might it be? What else could it be? And I come to but it's like most of the time it's within me. It's like, I'm too afraid to go and talk to this person. Well, why am I afraid? I'm afraid they're going to reject me. I'm afraid they're going to tell me no. I'm afraid they're going to be mad at me and yell at me about it. I'm afraid that they'll stop being my friend. And I listen to these worries that my inner child has, because these are completely worries that my inner child has. And I listen to them and I sit with them. And then, I do something called tapping. Have you ever heard of tapping?
I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the terminology.
So it's like EFT, emotional freedom technique, is one of the ways you can do it. And you tap here and you go through all of your, a bunch of different points. A lot of times I actually don't go through all the points. I just use my thymus and tap here. And I sit and I, it's like, even though I'm afraid to do this, I deeply love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling nervous, it's okay. I'm allowed to feel nervous. It doesn't mean I don't have to do what I need to go do. It just means that I have some nerves about it, and that's okay. I can feel my feelings. I'm allowed to feel my feelings, and I'm safe to feel my feelings. And I do a lot of self-talk with myself in that space after I've gone in and listened to myself. And that has made a huge difference for me. You'll notice you start yawning when you do that. And it's because your inner child and your body is starting to release those things that are stuck. And then as soon as you finish and you start feeling complete and you're like, I can do this. Okay. I can go and I can be brave for a minute. I can go try this out. I'm going to go test it. You get to this point that you're like, okay, I can do this. I believe in myself. I trust myself. I'm going to go do it. And then you come out of the meditation and you go take action. That's the part. You have to get into a high state and then go take action from that high state. And people will react to you from that high state and will meet that high energy.
Yeah. Wow.
So that is a major thing that I've done. Other things that I've done are that I choose to be happy, like on purpose. And I know that sometimes that's really hard. But another meditation technique, and I actually learned this at a Buddhist temple day thing, but it really stuck with me because they had us breathe in peace and breathe out joy.
Love that.
The reason it stuck with me is because Maleah means calm of the sea in Hawaiian. Calm of the sea to me means peace. And Bliss is my middle name. It's my given middle name, and it means joy. And so I was literally breathing in and out myself. And if you are somebody that is struggling with feeling like you aren't happy, like you aren't worth it, rename yourself, give yourself a secret name. Name yourself for what you want to be. Make yourself a persona and live from that space. Be like, I'm going to be, Susie Bath, and I'm going to go and I'm going to act like this person and create a persona around that person. I happen to have been named for joy. that was what my given name was. I was named for joy, but the secret is that everyone was named for joy. We just don't know it. And so I encourage people to give themselves a name that will serve them, that they feel like they can step into and live into, so that they can have and they can embody the peace and the joy and the wonderful feelings that they want to live from.
That's so cool.
So
I'm always telling myself, and it's something that's been a big sort of shift in my life in the last 12 months is that realization of getting out of your head and getting into your heart. What you've just explained there are some really practical ways of, slowing down, meditating, and just, feeling your feelings and letting them process and going through that experience.
we can't not feel our feelings, because if we don't feel our feelings, they get stuck in our bodies. Don't take action. We don't move forward because we're stuck, because we've frozen the feelings that we needed to feel.
Powerful. Yeah, I'm reminded we're all walking, talking skin bags full of human emotion, and we've got to deal with that human emotion. And
yes, indeed. Our meat suits can be very troublesome at times, but they're also a beautiful gift because they allow us to experience so many things.
Yes. Yes, and a diversity range of feelings and different things when you're really open to it. And that's one of the reasons why I love my dad jokes, because dad jokes just bring out the joy into the world, even though it's the cringe or the whatever.
My husband is right? A major punster, so I love puns. One last thing that I will recommend doing is that we do need to move sometimes things get stuck in our bodies, and with our big brains, we freeze ourselves and we don't allow ourselves to feel emotions, and then they actually physically get stuck in our bodies and they create a lot of actual physical pain. And so I have studied medical qigong, which is Chinese energetic medicine. I actually am in a program that eventually I'll be a doctor of medical qigong, but I just want the knowledge. But one of the things that my teacher taught me, and he is a 22nd generation Taoist priest, he's an 8th degree black belt, and he's a doctor of medical qigong. He taught me that one of the easiest and simplest ways to get trauma out of our body is to literally stand in the center of a room, like where there's enough space for you to move, and shake, like literally, like you're shaking your hands, you're shaking. You look insane. You look insane. So, I mean, do it alone if you feel uncomfortable with it. My children think it's hilarious. They'll come out and they'll be like, with me. But it actually, like, if you think about the way that our body deals with shock, when we have a stress response and we get our system shocked, our body naturally shakes. That's what it does. But with our giant brains, a lot of times we actually stop our bodies from doing the shaking that it needs to do in the moment of the trauma. And that literally pushes us into freeze. And so one of the best ways to get out residual trauma that you don't know how to move is to just be like, I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes every day and just stand in the center of my living room, maybe turn on a positive book, maybe turn on some music that makes you feel really good, or just do it in silence and be with the thoughts that come up in your brain and shake and start getting the actual physical trauma that is stuck in our bodies out. It's amazing.
Wow. You've so got to meet my beautiful wife, Sarah. Sarah's a Reiki practitioner. She's a remedial massage. And this is her world. She's actually learning how to deal with the fight or flight response and our stress responses and all that sort of thing. So I have to introduce you to my wife, Sarah. And
I'd love to meet her. You should talk to her about what I just told you about. Yeah. It is phenomenal. I was in a really bad car accident 4 years ago. And I got really stuck in a lot of that trauma. And when my teacher, he was like, you need to shake for 45 minutes at least every day. That was the prescription he gave me. And so I started doing that, and I did it every day for probably 6 months, but I started feeling significantly better after about 30 days. It really started moving things for me. And it's a simple thing. You feel silly doing it, but it really is a very simple thing that doesn't require a lot of thought. That doesn't require a lot of know-how. Like, you don't need to know a ton of stuff. You just need to sit down, or not sit down, stand up and move.
Yeah,
and
wow.
it literally moves that stress and trauma out of your body. So if you ever have a traumatic incident, I actually really recommend shaking as soon as possible after the traumatic incident to help it get out of your body so you don't get stuck in PTSD.
Very powerful.
So
I
yeah,
tried, I
it's
tried,
fun.
I tried to be normal once, last 2 minutes, didn't really like it.
I've never been normal. I've accepted it.
So this is a space of, social selling as well. This is some very powerful conversations to really help us to get into our self-worth and self-identity. But I just want to flip the coin onto the other side of the conversation around AI. So what are your thoughts around AI? Do you love it or hate it?
I think it's going to do a lot of good in our world. I think it has the potential to do a lot of bad in our world, but it really gets down to the humans that are creating it. And we need to be cautious. What's that?
We have a really powerful responsibility right now.
Yes, we do. We do have a very powerful responsibility because it's really, really interesting because every once in a while it's like I'll see something that somebody is like, look what AI did. And it does show the bias of the people that are building it. And it shows how much responsibility we really do have. We need to, and as I was talking about our own minds, we need to make sure, I think, at least this is just according to Maleah, we need to slant it towards good.
Yeah.
We need to slant it towards love, bringing people together.
Yes.
Because it's like this issue that we have in the world with, there's so much. I mean, you're in Australia. I don't know how divided it is in Australia. We are so divided. And like, in my opinion, it's used as a tool.
Yeah.
I think the media does it on purpose. I think our politicians do it on purpose. I think that there are certain social justice groups on both sides of the spectrum that do it on purpose because it pushes power towards their direction. And the problem is that we as a people, not just Americans, but the world, will never have the peace that we want if we don't create it. And the only way we can do that is if we all get on the same team. And the reason I say that is because our brains, like, hundreds of thousands of years ago, were very tight community focused. And so 150 individuals or so, anyone who was not from your tribe was dangerous. And their ideas could bring death. Their presence could bring death. And so anyone who wasn't on our team, our brains literally physically cannot hear their arguments. They can't hear what they're trying to do. It's a really, really interesting piece of brain science. But the only way that you can get people to even hear what you're sharing is if you get them on your team. And when we're talking about social selling, I'm not talking about getting them like on your team. I'm saying we have to be on the same side.
Yes.
We have to say, we want a better world for our children.
Yes.
We don't both completely agree on what that looks like at this moment. But we both agree we want this world to be a better, safer place for our kids.
Yeah.
So let's come together on that point.
Yeah.
And let's start talking about what better looks like. And it's going to require that some people choose to do enough healing so that they can hear other people's complaints, other people's attacks, and forgive them for it and stay present in the space. Because until we do that, we can't move forward.
100%.
We can't hear each other to even get a direction to move in.
We need to open our minds, open our hearts, and they only work when they're like a parachute. They only work when they're open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree with all of that.
And so I spend so much time Go say that again.
We need an ultimate chief aim we all can all get behind and agree on that mission.
Yeah. I spend so much time just working to get people on the same team and to bring people in and to include people. And I think that in some ways this gets back to my childhood of being excluded so much.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I want people to come together. And so I work really hard to make it a safe space for everyone and for everybody's ideas to be heard, because so many times our ideas hide wounds. They hide inner trauma. And when we listen to people, we can hear what they're afraid of. And if we can hear what they're afraid of, we can speak to that piece so that we can all shift and move into a direction that we don't fear anymore.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful. Love that. Thank you very much for sharing your heart with us. And I can see clearly you understand your why, like your mission, your purpose in life. For those of us who are just starting on that journey, like I've read of some really powerful books, in this space to help me to really unpack this. And Simon Sinek's Start With Why is one that comes to mind. What is your favorite book that you highly recommend that people unpack and dive into this arena? What's one book that you would recommend, and why?
So I'm well read. I read a lot. These are the physical books that I'm reading right now.
Leaders and readers. Yep.
My love of reading started when I was very young, because kids didn't want to play with me, and so I would spend my recesses reading. I read Les Miserables when I was 8. My daughter is named Avonlea from Anne of Green Gables. I love books. My son's name is Emerson.
Another favorite of my wife. You and my wife are just going to get off like besties straight away.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, give me a reason to come visit Australia too. But I will say that the book that changed me the most was a book called The Mastery of Love. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz. He is a Nagual, is what the Mayans call it, but he's basically a shaman, for more colloquial language that people will understand. And he's written the 4 Agreements. More people have heard of that one than they have the Mastery of Love. But in my opinion, the Mastery of Love is his masterwork. And the Mastery of Love gets down to whether or not you love yourself. He tells a story in it that is just beautiful. And it's not very long, so I'll share very quickly. You have inside of you a magical kitchen. Pretend that there's a magical kitchen inside of you. And in this magical kitchen, you can go into it and you can cook like you go in and you're like, I want a good, surf and turf, nice rare steak, big old lobster, all the fixings. That's what I want. And it, poof, instantly, magically, there it is, cooked to perfection. It is perfect.
Sounds like heaven.
It is heaven. You're like, yeah. Or, you want waffles and you're like, yes, waffle. Like everything you could ever want to eat is instantly available. And then as you're like eating this lovely steak and lobster dinner, you get a knock at your door. You go and you answer it. And there's a guy standing outside of it. And he's holding a pizza. And he says, hey, I'll give you this pizza if you let me call you names, if you let me treat you poorly, if you let me be abusive. I'll give you this free pizza. Here, take my pizza. And you're like eating your steak and you're like, no, what? You are baffled at why you would ever even consider accepting this man's pizza. But if you don't know that you have a magical kitchen inside of you, and you are living in this house inside of your body, and you're starving because you don't know how to work the kitchen, and someone comes and knocks on that door and says, hey, I'll give you this pizza. I'm going to treat you badly. I'm going to be abusive, but I'll give you this pizza. And you are starving. And you're like, well, I need food. So, I mean, I guess call me names. I'll eat my food.
You'll pay the cost.
You'll pay the cost because you're desperate for food.
Mm.
But what this is really talking about is love.
Mm.
If you understand that all the love that you could ever experience is inside of you, the love you experience is the love that comes out of you, you will never allow someone to call you names. You will never allow someone to treat you poorly. You will have boundaries that say, absolutely not, GTFO. But if you don't have love inside of you, if you don't understand that all the love that you'll ever need is already contained inside of you, you will allow someone to come in and give you little tiny pittances of love in exchange for that huge amount of abuse. You'll let it happen because you just want to feel wanted for a moment.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And so that book changed me. That book was the moment. I got it. I had to love me. And then I can go into the world safe. I can go into the world, and if someone's rude to me, I don't have to accept it because I already have the love inside of me. I don't need them to be awful to me to give me a little tiny bit of acceptance. I don't need to do that anymore. And everything in your world will change if you understand this tiny thing that is self-love. So The Mastery of Love, that is a tiny piece of it, but it is so good. And it's a very easy to read book also, and it's very short.
Such a powerful, powerful, powerful lesson. And
yeah,
I feel like I'm only just, really just diving into this myself now, 5 years into it really, and only just scratching the surface. And such a deep, deep experience. You've got such a deep wisdom about you around this area. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you. I've studied it long and hard. It was hard won.
Yeah. My wife and I were just about to embark on a humongous mission. It's actually quite nerve-wracking, but very exciting at the same time. We're about to start an online church. And
wow.
The beautiful part about that is our hearts is we want to express and show the love, that God, we call God, has for the world, right? Because I was an atheist 10 years ago, and essentially love has saved my life. Learning how to love myself, learning how to love others, and that core essence, foundation of it is what we want to now, share to the rest of the world and help the others to by that as well. So such a
That's amazing.
Beautiful timing. It's just I love Mastery. I'll have to read that book. It's such a beautiful timing.
Yeah. The Mastery of Love. Yeah. It is, in my opinion, it is the most impactful book I've ever read. And like I said, I really have read a lot of books. Another really fun one is The Immortality Key. But that one is the intersection of paganism, early Christianity, and psychedelics.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
I love that.
But that has nothing to do with any of this, but it's really interesting understanding our history and understanding why so many things have been demonized in our world. That one's the fascinating read.
Yeah, no, I'm all about, having a robust world view of things. So yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Cool. So, look, I could talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles, and I love connecting with you. It's you're so easy to connect with, so easy to talk to.
Thank you.
But we probably should wrap up.
It's true. We've definitely gone over time.
We're a little bit over time. So just to wrap up, two things. If you could start all over again, what would you do? What's the number one thing that you would do? And then how can our listeners and our readers, because I'll read the podcast notes, however they like to consume the content, how can they reach out and connect with you and make sure that you're in their world?
Okay, so if I had to start over, what would I do? I mean, honestly, everything we've talked about, I would learn to love myself before I went out and tried to start anything, because you're starting from a place of a solid foundation at that point. That it's more valuable, I think, than most people realize. Like, there's so much woo woo, like there's so much personal development and Tony Robbins and you gotta, like, all those things. It's not that part that makes you better. It's not the raw stuff that gets you there.
Work. Yeah.
It's the inner work that matters. And I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but it really is the God honest truth of where you need to start. If you are too afraid, you're going to sabotage yourself. Yeah. And the way to get out of self-sabotage is figuring out what's going on in here and in here, because that's what's holding you back.
Yeah, I 100% connect to that. Like, all the times I've had times of success in my life, it's when I've been rooted and comfortable and had the solid foundations with who I am, why I'm doing what I'm, and who I'm helping, and how I'm helping those people in that impact as well.
So spend that time with yourself and figure it out. I use a habits app that it's called Good Habits for Apple, but it keeps a streak of how many days in a row you've done a thing. And that's where I pulled my meditation stuff from. And so if you're starting something new, I would start from like sitting down and listening to yourself every day and keeping track of how many days in a row you've done it. That's where I would start, and make a list of the other things that you need to do so that you can actually get your business running. But start there. That's where I would start. If people want to connect with me, I'm at Maleah Bliss on all social media. So Maleah is MALEAHBLISS. It seems that there's no one else in the world with my name, because I have that screen name. Literally, I've never not gotten it when I've signed up for a new website. So I'm at Maleah Bliss across all social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And I'm happy to give people my phone numbers if they actually do want it. My email is maleahbliss@gmail.com. And if you're calling to be ridiculous, I'm going to be really annoyed with you, but I will give people my phone number if they want it. It is 385-205-0556. Just don't be abusive. Don't be ridiculous, because if you do, I'm going to block you real quick.
Business like that. Maleah sounds like she's got enough solid foundations and self-worth and self-awareness to know whether you've been a jerk or whatever, and just block and move on. Thank you very much for sharing your heart. I've absolutely personally loved just connecting with you and vibing with you on that. It's absolutely beautiful. And I look forward to how our friendship and connection blossoms in that space.
Me too. Very much so.
So this is a fairly new podcast to put it together at the moment. It's not actually live. We're going live around mid-May. So I'm just in the process of recording a few episodes to build up that bit. And I'll let you know once it goes live, and we can share it out to our
fantastic. Yeah, no, I as soon as you do get it live, I would love to share it.
That was such a powerful episode. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Not necessarily too much of the technical or the logistical side of it, but that's not what most people need. They need the mindset, the heart set, and that's 80% of the work, right?
It is 80% of the work, and people don't realize it until they're like neck deep in it, and they're like, "Why doesn't it work?"
Yeah.
And then they quit.
Yeah, they either quit. Most people quit, or they go deep into it and they work it out. And
yes, and those are the only two choices. Yeah. So, Jeff, this has been wonderful.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
I have so got to introduce you to my lovely wife, Sarah. You know, next time in Hawaii, I'd love to catch up and have lunch with you.
Absolutely. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, no problem at all. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
G'day, legends. Jeff Ross here, wrapping up another great episode of the Laptop Lifestyle Dad Show. We've just had an incredible chat with Maleah Bliss, a social marketing guru who's gone from feeling rejected as a kid to having rooms erupt with cheer when she walks in. Talk about a transformation. Remember, it's not about the number of followers you have. It's about the authentic connections that you make along the way. Maleah showed us how that self-love is the key to success in both life and business. Whether you're just starting out or you're already killing it online, remember to niche down. But don't be afraid to pivot when opportunity knocks. And always lead with your heart. Stay caffeinated, stay inspired, and keep making memories with your family while building that laptop lifestyle. We'll catch you on the next episode, faster than you could say, AI-powered social selling. Now for some exciting news, don't forget to grab our new book that just launched, Social Selling and AI Mastery for Network Marketers. It's jam-packed with actionable insights and success stories to help you to elevate your game. And whilst you're here, make sure you've joined our Facebook group, the Laptop Lifestyle Dads Legends, Social Selling and AI Mastery for Network and Affiliate Marketers. This is your go-to place to transform your approach to online business with cutting-edge strategies and practical tips. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to up your game, this is for you. So why join? Well, it's simple. We're here to empower and equip you to achieve true freedom and success in your business. Learn how to balance the chaos of the mum-dad life while mastering social selling and AI. So go ahead, hit subscribe button. Don't miss any future episodes. If you've loved what you heard, leave us a review and share with your fellow legends. Let's grow our community together, stay caffeinated, stay inspired, and keep making memories. Cheers, legends, and we'll see you on the next episode.